Now, we're telling the story here of Elvis through the years, and we had someone that came in for us this week to be one of the judges in the Elvis Tribute Artist Contest. And I think it was so important to have judges that really knew what they were looking at. And one of those judges is here, and I wanted to introduce him. He was working in law enforcement in Memphis when his path crossed with Elvis, and I want to introduce him and bring him up for just a second. Sam Thompson, one of the members of the Memphis Mafia. He is. Sam's going to do a ballad song with Jody.
I'll do a medley in my head.
Yeah. Sam Thompson, you were in law enforcement in Memphis back in the day, in the 70s. And
yeah.
Elvis Elvis owned Memphis at night, basically. Everybody thinks he was a prisoner at Graceland. He got out a lot.
He got a very lot, quite a bit, yeah. I was a cop in Memphis. I was a sheriff's deputy. Is this getting feedback? Am I bouncing off you? Can you all hear me well? Yeah. Don't worry about him. Can you hear me? He'll be heard. Yeah, it was kind of funny because the sheriff, one time Elvis asked me, I asked Elvis, I said, what would you like for Christmas? Now, that's a tall order, folks. What do you get Elvis Presley? So he said, well, I want one of those blue lights, like they have on the streets of San Francisco. I said, well, Elvis, that's like police issue. He said, well, you asked me what I wanted, that's what I want. I said, okay. So next day I go to the sheriff. I wasn't working for Elvis, I was just there. And I told the sheriff what he wanted, and he said, well, that's police issue. I said, I told him that? So he said, okay. So he gave me a requisition. You had to go to a supply place and get that. So about a week later, I took it to Elvis, and he put it on the Stutz and drove around Graceland. He was as happy as if I'd given him $1 million. About a week later, I'm at work, and the sheriff calls me in his office. He says, we have a problem. I said, what is it? He said, well, Elvis has got that blue light on his car, and he's pulling people over for speeding. And there are pictures in the Memphis Press Center. You go back and look, and it's got Elvis standing there next to his car with the blue light where he's pulled somebody over. And I said, well, that's bad, Sheriff. He said, yeah, now he wants a ticket book. I said, do not give him a ticket book. So yeah, he got out at night quite a bit.
Yeah. Now we were ending that first act with Elvis's love of gospel music and the fact that he only won 3 Grammys, but all for gospel. You saw Elvis in those private moments and knew his relationship with God.
My favorite memories are those moments, not necessarily up here on this stage. And I saw probably 400 concerts and I think 7 recording sessions. But my favorite moments were in Graceland when he would go upstairs and play the piano, either downstairs or outside of his bedroom in the office area, and we would sing gospel songs. And we'd sing them all night long, and he was impressed that I knew them. But of course, I grew up in Memphis, so, we sort of came from the same place. My sister says we knew Elvis before we knew Elvis. Culturally, we were all from the same place. Elvis told me that he really wanted to be a gospel singer. That was his #1 goal, and he actually tried out, I think at one time, an old Elvis auditorium in Memphis, and they told him he wasn't good enough. It crushed him. And that's actually where he met J.D. Sumner. J.D. was in one of those gospel groups. But that was his first love, was gospel music.
And Elvis, we talked about it, getting out at night just because of the fans. Church was a problem for him, to go to a normal service.
And we didn't. Yeah. But his Aunt Nash, Vernon's sister, was named Nash, and she married Earl Pritchard. And some of you may know their daughter was Donna Pritchard, who's Donna Presley. But Aunt Nash was an evangelical, charismatic minister. And she had a little church in her house. So one day the phone rings, and it's Elvis. He said, Linda and I are going to go to church. My aunt's a preacher, and we want you and Louise, my wife, to go. And I said, okay. So we went over there, and we get in the car, and we drive down to Mississippi, just right over the state line, this little clapboard house, and we go inside, and Nash has got a curtain, and we sit down, and we're the only people there. And there's like a little, stand like he's got here, and Nash comes out from the curtain with some canned music, and she preaches hellfire and brimstone. And we sit in the back and we watch, having the church, and Elvis is he's trying to like support his aunt and everything, but he's got his head down like this. And he's got that Superfly hat on. And I'm sitting behind him, and all of a sudden I see him doing like this. And I'm thinking, oh my God, he's overcome with emotion. He was laughing. So anyway, we had the church service, we got in the car and went back to Graceland. That's the only time I went to church with Elvis. But we couldn't just walk into a church. I mean, can you imagine the pandemonium? Or as Elvis described it, pandelirium?
Now, your sister, they might know, one of Elvis's girlfriends in the 70s, Linda Thompson, who's been quite successful as a songwriter after Elvis.
Yeah, poor ugly thing.
Yeah. Now, you guys, being with Elvis in that sense, you really got to know the man. And did he have concerns about? Because here we are still rocking out with Elvis. Did he know that he was set, that everyone would remember the legend?
I think. Let me just say that, years later, I ended up having my own record company, and I signed Josh Groban, I signed Michael Bublé. We had some big artists. And I had these conversations with these guys. And trust me, they're just like Elvis with regard to when you forget who they are, their career is over. And every one of them has doubts. Even these guys that are performing here, they've got doubts about their performances and how well they're doing. And Elvis had that too. And he would ask at night, he asked me this several times. He said, we would sit upstairs and talk in the bedroom, and he would say, do you think people will remember me when I'm gone? That was really important to him. And, I was a kid. I was 23 when I met Elvis and 29 when he died. So, I didn't remember what I had for breakfast. But and I told him, I said, Elvis, they'll always remember you. My God, you're Elvis Presley. These concerts, he said, no. He said, that's an icon. That's me on that stage. That's not me. They may remember that, but will they remember me? So he was consumed with that. And the answer that I always gave him is really a statement that I always give to these events. Elvis's greatest legacy is the body of work, his music. That was the most important thing to him, and it's the most important thing that I hope that you'll remember about Elvis.
Yeah. We've got a lot of new Elvis fans in the world because of the movie that came out last year. Just a really quick Sam Thompson review of the film and the effect that it's having on people.
How many saw the movie? Yeah? Wow. Well, Baz Luhrmann did okay.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, when I had my record company, we did the music for Moulin Rouge. So I knew Baz Luhrmann. I knew the kind of movie he would produce. And it's large and, Technicolor and that type of thing. It's not necessarily dependent upon the facts like a documentary, but there's a lot of truth in that movie. But the best part of that movie to me was the music, because it really showed what Elvis was, particularly when of course I was not there, but when Elvis kicked the doors in to the music industry in the 50s and changed everything. And it showed that. And it showed the great legacy of his music and how he took songs and made them his own. So I actually liked the movie. I saw it twice. And I recommend it. So thank you for going.
There you go.
And by the way, I don't get any money from it, so.
Well, Sam, we want to thank you for being here. We judged 2 rounds. We got the finals tonight. And we appreciate all the time.
I'm exhausted.
I know.
I'm emotionally drained.
You are. Well, just being in my presence kind of has that.
I have to step away just a little bit. Just all the energy just gets sucked out of me here.
Just a black hole.
What do you all think about Tom Brown? I mean, really, come on. Give it up. Let's go. The man has an ego, and not to a lesser extent. How about the band? And Jody. She's an animal. Okay.
Sam, you need to.
Is that it?
That's it. Go have your hamburger.
I'll go lie down now.
That's right. Go lie down.
Thank you all for coming.
We'll wake him up for tonight. Thank you, Sam. He'll be here judging the finals tonight. All right. Back to.